Hey guys, it's Derek Blue Collar Chess here, and today I want to talk about calculation and why I think like pawn endgames are like the perfect tool for somebody who's not necessarily first starting out, but yeah, I mean when you're first starting out, I think you should just play. However, I do think there comes a point where you gotta start working with puzzles, and you gotta start doing calculation and visualization, and everybody wants to do middle game stuff because it's fun. You might not get an end game, but what I like about these are that you've got very few pieces on the board, but you get a ton of squares typically that pieces can move to. So you have to calculate all that stuff. So it's a little bit simpler, but also a little bit harder because the squares are not blocked. And the other thing is you have to be able to finish the game. So if you get into a position like this, you've got one winning move, and the rest draw or lose, right? So, and if you're looking at this position, you have to do move selection, right? So you get here. So Black had just played King F6. This is a game I found on Lee Chess, which was a blunder. Like it was a dead even position. He played King F6. Now he's losing. So the first move that my brain went to was G5 check. Now let me tell you the logical thinking I was using. So my logical thinking was G5 check, King goes to G6, King goes to E5, King takes G5, King takes E6, and you have a complete path, an open file for your pawn to promote. So that's the logic. So that's what led me to that first move. Okay. So with that same logic will actually lead you to the proper move. But first, you have to calculate why that just doesn't work, So you play G5, king to G6, king to E5, king takes G5, king takes E6. Then you have, for Black, you now have F4. So that becomes the problem of the whole position, is that he's going to promote first, and he's going to promote with a check. So with calculating that, so just imagine that position. So your king's on E6, his king's on G5, and he just pushed F4. So now if you push D5, he's going to push E3, and you've still got 3 squares to go. He's got 2 squares to go to queening. If you take, he's going to take. If you don't take, he's going to take, or he's just going to push to E2, right? He's probably not going to take because he wants the queen with a check. So you can kind of see that variation does not work. So right off the bat, that variation just doesn't work. Okay. Now, but you have to calculate, 4 to 5 moves to really see that it doesn't work. So another move is F3. I don't think so. F3 is one of those moves I think you could just kind of like discard. Not necessarily. I mean, take a brief look at it. Like so you're gonna do F3. Really, his moves at that point is gonna be E takes F3 or E3. And if he takes E3, I mean either one, you're just gonna take back with your king, right? If he pushes E3, you're gonna end up with an extra pawn, so you're probably winning that. So he probably has to take. So he takes, you take back, so now your king's on F3. And at that point, he can just play king to G5. Now he's threatening to win that pawn. So then you take, then he takes back with his king or his pawn. And either one is a draw, right? Because you're just going to go to E3, king to E3. He can't push his pawn without you trading. He can't move his, any move he does, you're going to push him into the position, and he's going to shimmy back and forth. Yeah, so that's probably a draw. Right, and I think a move like D5, you can 100% just kind of like, okay, that can't be good. You play D5, he takes, then his pawn's going to be on the D file, pushing down. You probably don't have any, you're probably 100% just losing that. Well, the more I look at it, that's probably a draw too, actually. But, anyways, so you can use the process of elimination, okay? and that was the point. So I'm looking for moves. I'm looking for pawn moves. I don't think moving my king is going to be appropriate here because it's already in opposition of the opposing king. So so you use the process of elimination. You have g takes f5. Now that took a long time, but you got to understand. I also used the idea that I want to push my d pawn. So my winning idea is to open that up. And for whatever reason, when I first looked at the puzzle, it was kind of a blindside for me just to take the pawn. Okay, so all you got to do is just take that pawn, and then the e pawn has to take back. I mean, the king could probably move somewhere, but you're just going to lose the, you're gonna lose the other e pawn, and it's just done. So he has to take back, and then all you got to do is force that king to move, right? And so at that point, you just play d5. So once I saw the winning idea, it was easy. So it's g takes f5, e takes f5, and then d5. And then the king, what do I have there? I had king g6 because it stayed touching the pawn. Any other move that the king made was going to just let the pawn go, and I think would be an easy win at that point. So then I had king to e5, and then after king g5, you just play d6, and then f4. All right, d6, and no, because if you played f4, you just play king takes e4. That probably is his best shot to try. So anyway, so I'm going to show you what all this looks like. So after g5, king to g6, king to e5, king takes g5, king takes e6, f4, d5, e3, and like I said, so as soon as you get here, if you can visualize this, you can just see that you're actually losing here, okay? And I'm just going to play just a few more moves just to kind of show it. And then, so if you do get to this point, black does need some technique here. I think this is pretty simple and easy. However, with that said, it might be hard for somebody at the level that I'm talking about. So I would continue to play on because you play something like this and you're threatening the queen. Now you're losing, and the computer says you've got, I think, an 11 move checkmate here. So I don't think they're going to find 11 move checkmate. I think the process here is going to be to win that pawn. And there's a technique for that. We're not going to discuss the technique for that. So I'm going to go back to the initial position. And I'm looking at f3 real quick just so you can kind of see that. E takes f3, king takes f3, king to g5, g takes f5, king takes f5, and king to e3. So this is a dead draw. I mean, black would have to make a serious mistake to mess up this position. Same with white. So the move is g takes f5. So then e takes f5, and then there. So, and you don't have to play king to g6. I mean, you can play king to e7, but then you just have this, right? And then if he does this, you've got something like this. And I don't know. I mean, I think that's pretty elementary at that point. So we look at king to g6 because it stays in contact with the pawn. And you're going to play king to e5, and you're going to play king to g5. And any other move with the king besides g5 is going to start losing these pawns, right? These pawns are going to fall. So he's going to play king to g5, and you just play d6, and you're going to queen with a check, and they just don't have anything. So if they try this, you're going to take like that. But the idea here with this type of puzzle is that you really need to calculate all those ideas unless you find the winning idea. And if you find a winning idea and you double check it and you think it's winning and you don't want to look for anything else, then go ahead and play it. But, say you found the g5 move first. Because for whatever reason, taking the pawn to g takes f5 was a blind spot for me at first. I had to work through it. I had to do a process of elimination of moves at that point, and I really wanted to play g5 check. I just thought that plan of clearing out the E pawn was the winning plan. However, it's too slow, and you do it this way too, and you're using like tactics to do it really. So, anyways, yeah. So this is Derek Blue Collar Chess. I hope this has been helpful for you guys. I'm going to do a couple more of these, I think. I'm not going to do a lot. I'm going to do some rook puzzles and that type of stuff, just kind of show calculation. Because I do firmly believe that you don't have to do super complicated puzzles at the level that I'm talking about. And I would say even the 15 to 1600, that most of your games are going to be decided within like a 2 or 3 move problem. What I mean by that is that you're going to be missing it within those, like, that parameters. Like, you may even calculate 5, 6 moves deep, and the problem in your calculation, the calculator is perfect, except for the very first reply or second reply from your opponent, and you miss that, and then you lost the game. So, anyways, that's why I think these puzzles are good. I hope you enjoyed this. Talk to you guys later.